I'm Onikage and welcome to Aut-Ish. Today I'll be discussing the controversial movie released this year called Music. Music has been directed by musician Sia, who has paired with the soundtrack of the same name. I have written a review of the trailer before, and some of the sources and information there are relevant to this video too. The issue with this movie is its representation of an autistic character, Sia's attitude, and poor research behind the scenes that even autistic charities have basically boycotted this movie, including the ally Autism Speaks. Disclaimer: I am not promoting any hate, I am discussing my opinion on the film and its representation. I will do my best to see from both sides, but I am aware that my biases might show through. Content warning: mentions and examples of autistic drama, restraint, and domestic abuse. So, what is music? Here is a summary from Google Play. I feel that these two summaries struggle to explain the movie and put an emphasis on music, like she is the main star. Let's use autism for views! That's the vibe I get. I feel that if you wanted an authentic autistic moving around, hire an autistic. Having Maddie dance this out is cheating. Also, is that blackface? Some severe autistics would love to have done this. Some can do amazing movements and dances. What a wasted opportunity. No hate on Maddie throughout all of this. She was only 14 and was clearly worried about the representation. I blame Sia, who is the screenwriter and director of this. She has over-relied on Maddie for way too long, so it feels like the Maddie show, but with goofy expressions like her other performances. That's how I see it. If you didn't tell me she was supposed to be autistic, that's how I would have seen it. It seems that Maddie has tried to make music as authentic as possible. She tries to make her cute. Music's time in the spotlight shows innocence and is aloof. Her speech does sound similar to other non-verbal autistics, but at the same time, it does sound a tad mocky. The dream sequences, music's point of view. I feel overwhelmed by the music and the colours. This isn't for autistics or those with epilepsy to watch. Music's dreams and points of view are based on these. A lot of them show flashing like it's a drama stage show. It feels out of place. I feel that they are detached from the story, shoehorned in if you will. Like the film's mask is this, but the actual film is Zoo's story. The obnoxious dance sequences paired with the music is weird. It's like it's trying to make the film happier than it is. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be happy or does it want to be serious? It's like I've seen a Stuart Little trailer that only showed the fun parts, only to find the real film is pretty serious. It's such a calm down. Each song sequence is like a commercial. The only times where POV works is when it shows a situation at hand, like when she's overstimulated. That works as it shows a vivid mind. However, not all autistics think this vividly. The stereotype is so overused in the media, and I cannot stress that enough. I feel that music's mannerisms are very typical for movies with autistic characters. I do understand that some autistics act this way. However, in a neurotypical point of view, all they think is this. The mannerisms Maddie does is very limited or a caricature. Everyone being nice to her in the start while she's alone feels very unrealistic and infantilizing in some way. I assume her independence is due to some ritual with her music. I later found out it was her walking ritual. I feel music's personality is walking autism. I wanted to see music's thoughts and dreams, not just in these sequences. There are no signs of content warnings in the version I watched, nor there were subtitles. Sia said that these scenes would be removed or have a disclaimer in the start. There isn't. Not in the version that I downloaded on Google Play. Story: Kazoo, or Zoo's grandma, dies and now has to take care of music. Zoo is a drug addict, dealer and alcoholic. Zoo doesn't understand how her half-sister works. Seems like it's their story. Zoo doesn't understand that music needs routine and a ritual and tries her damnedest to communicate. When music has a meltdown over hair braiding, Zoo is already at her wit's end. Music is non-verbal but occasionally says phrases like go to bed or braid my hair to communicate what she wants or needs. So the restraint seen by Ebbo, the neighbour, happens. He says it's to make you feel safe and crushing you with my love. This is absolutely uncomfortable to watch, rightfully so. However, music looks like she wants out. This type of restraint has killed children and other autistic, so this is very irresponsible. The National Council of Severe Autism says this isn't a big deal. Look, I get that autistics need pressure to calm down, but this is not consensual. This may sound extreme, but I understand if you need to grab a kid if they're about to run out of a cliff to prevent harm. But not this. All she wants is her hair braided, not bloody chewing gum. They call her meltdowns episodes. What? Ebbo knew how to calm down music because his younger brother needed to held to calm down too. However, the younger brother has passed away, possibly due to the home country, Ghana, not understanding special needs kids. Yeah, that's not fun. Ebbo does try to teach music how to use a soundboard, and more stuff later on, which I will mention. The late grandma kept all records and schedules of music, showing a responsible carer. Zoo wants to find a way to go to paradise. We are the observers of young music in this film, by the way. Zoo sells drugs to make money for paradise, basically to find a new life and start over. I feel the characters aren't really attachable. I have no connection to them. Zoo is unlikable. Ebbo, while good intent, is harmful. Ebbo is Zoo's teacher for autistics. There's a scene where he explains her coping mechanisms, like taking a snapshot, or using headphones for noise filtering. All of music's mechanisms and stuff. Music likes ritual. She walks the same route every day. The second scene of restraint is even worse. Zoo struggles while music feels overstimulated. While at the park, there's like children screaming everywhere. This is public humiliation for music, and I hate how she calms down and smiles straight away. This is very misleading. No one recovers this quickly. A snow cone doesn't solve all problems. Ebbo and Zoo gradually like each other, but both of them have their issues. Music observes the two and shows how she thinks how the two feel via her sequences, her imagination, her mind. Zoo tries to use her neighbour to babysit music, but instead has to take her to her client for drugs. Music is a burden in this scene. We'll explain that soon. Her client wants Zoo to be a mule to send drugs overseas. Music gets distracted with the fashion stuff and expensive equipment and also with the clothes, and has a dream sequence. And the dream sequence shows that people want to dress her up, and she dances and shows different outfits. I'm bored now. Surely music's thoughts with substance rather than daydreaming would be more effective at this point. We could have both, but this makes music look like a dozy daydreamer, no more. Very shallow. I know there's people that daydream all the time. Zoo gets a package of drugs to give to someone, only to find out it's Ebbo. Ebbo had trouble keeping his medication earlier in the film, so for this to happen was pretty much not a surprise. Music is just a dog at this point, following the owner. She chews chewing gum in public and then gets stung by a bee that she's allergic to. I've noticed this film shows like problematic and bad examples of autistic behaviours that do happen in real life, but we've seen this all before. Where's the good examples? Zoo just thinks she's freaking out, but is having a reaction. She misses Ebbo's student Felix's match because of this. We'll talk about him later. Zoo doesn't have insurance and freaks out. Her anger makes music uncomfortable. This is basically Zoo's moment of chaos. Zoo goes back to alcohol due to this moment of weakness. She becomes drunk and acts disorderly. She admits she's on probation after she is violent to a neighbour. She then leaves the complex and has a montage of continuous heavy drinking. The next day, music approaches Zoo and continues her ritual. Zoo has a nasty gash on her face, freaking out after she passed out after her booze binge. She confides in Ebbo and is upset that music has wet herself as well. See what I mean by only showing like bad examples or worrying examples of autistic behaviours in movies? It's all the ones that are challenging, you know? And we've seen that so many times in movies. There needs to be positive ones too. Ebbo confesses his love for her, but then doubts himself and leaves. Zoo feels like she has nobody and is alone. We should be feeling sorry for her at this point. But the way it's done, I just feel nothing. An autistic does have difficulties and should be shown, whether it's positive or negative. However, we've seen this negative point of view in film many times. Why can't we see positive examples instead of positive dream sequences? For an autistic's experience to be authentic, you have to show not one side or the other. It needs to be a mixture. Every autistic person is different. We then see a sequence and montage of Zoo, Ebbo and music working things out, living day by day. This music sequence song is really irritating for the ears. Apologies, I'm criticising the soundtrack at this point. I'll put the name of the song here so you know what I'm talking about. Zoo is trying to come clean, looking for a job, going to AA, moving out. This montage feels pretty rushed, like let's compile or compress character development into just one song. This is Zoo's journey, with music in the sidelines. Ebbo goes to his brother's wedding alone. Zoo takes music to, I assume, a mental hospital to live in. Oh boy. Music tells Zoo not to go, so they leave and get a taxi to Ebbo's brother's wedding. Ebbo talks in his speech that love is complicated and all that, blah blah blah, probably based on his experience of love to his brother. Zoo tells Ebbo that she's sober and has left her job as a dealer. She's decided that she wants to help music, as she also helps her. She loves Ebbo and returns the comment. Music is ecstatic. They perform music in front of Ebbo's family. Music tries to sing along while Zoo encourages her. Music has had her time to shine. This song has been like the theme and it's been played throughout the film, with Zoo singing the lead. Basically, it's the film's theme song, which is pretty appropriate. Zoo makes eggs really well compared to the start of the film, where she makes them poorly, a reflection of comfort, like her grandma when she took care of music. Music is given the service dog at the end, and Ebbo, Zoo and music are one big happy family. The end. But before we end that, let's talk about the side plot of Felix. The side plot with the big guy, Felix, is pretty predictable. He seems to be interested in music and watches her from afar every day. We don't see them interact directly. He's not interested in boxing and prefers to watch people dancing. His parents fight, I assume it's because of his son hugging another boxer during the match, implying that they didn't fight at all. The father assaults his wife and his son, causing him to fall on the floor bleeding from the head. This scene personally made me sick, and how he assaulted his wife by choking her, that just made me feel, triggered, man. How is this related? The sequence of music afterwards shows them two dancing. Her and Felix. We never saw them contact directly, other from away from afar. And after that sequence from music, you see Felix tucking in Zoo on the couch. Was this Zoo's dream? I'm confused. But I think Felix unfortunately passed away, as he's shown whisked away in the end of the sequence before tucking Zoo in. I was just confused. Is he autistic as well? As he shows behaviours that are not typical to the other people, like he doesn't like boxing, maybe he has a special interest in dancing, and that's probably why he has some sort of feeling towards music. It could be being related. And also, I don't think Felix spoke a word, if I remember correctly. As for the soundtrack, it's Sia music. If you love Sia, it's beneficial. For me, it's more of the same Sia music. It only works because it's another glorified Maddie music video. It's a Sia project, so the music reflects that by adding her music. The amount of times I'm saying music is getting really confusing at this point. The composition is pretty bland and only brightens up with its musical numbers. The title track music definitely feels contrived. Overall, the soundtrack is pretty boring. The story and script is very straightforward, nothing special. I feel that the most effort was with the sequences, as they have dancers, special effects, lighting, colour, everything. Sia should have done a Daft Punk and should have made all those sequences into one film on its own, rather than feeling like she can make some sort of togetherness, family inspiration dream, inspiration poem. It just feels mismatched. The plot especially. The B plot was so underdeveloped. Music is just background, as in the character music. She is just background, like any adults treat autistics in real life, autistics of backgrounds feel left out. The film feels definitely incomplete. So, is this a love letter for carers? And what about his advertising? The advertising showed that music, the title character, is the primary importance. However, it's a carer's story. Music's not the main character at all. I can't speak for carers, however, I feel like this is a worrying example. I have nothing against carers in general, as some carers can really help people's lives, and I fully respect them so much. However, I feel like people will listen to this film rather than listen to neurodivergent stories, true neurodivergent stories. Music is the tag-along in this film, the pet, the shining star that others feed off to make themselves feel better. Also, some carer stories can get left out too. Zoo is a reluctant carer, and is easily prone to struggle more. I'm sure it can be relatable for some in this way, but the plot is very hollow and feels, again, incomplete. It needs more substance for the story, and it feels like a first draft. That's bad. The end sequence is all rainbows, happy, but the film, again, is mismatched and relies more on aesthetics, hopeful inspiration, and stereotypes. I wouldn't call it a carer's love letter. That's an insult to carers. Personally, that is an insult. It's more of a movie which shows unexpected togetherness in life. Sia has relied too much on her comfort zone. This film shows this. Glaringly obvious. It's disappointing because we've seen so many examples of a carer's story and not the autistic. And no, the dream sequences of music's point of view is a half-assed attempt. I feel like this film will already create the already existing divide with those who support Autism Speaks and those who support neurodiversity and other charities and other autistic personalities. I personally think this whole parents/carers versus neurodiversity fight is absolutely stupid. Even some autistics have an aspie supremacist attitude, are siding with these specific carers. Aren't we all supposed to be on the same side to help autistics have a better life with the right support? Not all carers are bad. I'm trying not to generalise, I'm meaning specific people. Yes, we are going to have disagreements, but harassment and or hate from both sides isn't the way forward. I understand being blunt because society doesn't listen to disabilities, but targeting each other is not the way. It only makes the neurotypical cisgender white male oriented society win. We don't want that. Being anti-neurodiversity is pretty sad too. It's not just some special movement. It's celebrating and showing awareness of the diversity of brains. Not just autistics. There's like ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, other mental stuff. Brain diversity! It should be a thing. Loop is a better representation of autistics. It has a non-verbal character. I'll look into more non-verbal stuff in the future. I also recommend this short film Listen, made for and by severe autistics, and it's an indirect response to Sia's film Music. Could be direct, going to the description. Sia was inspired by one autistic, and it shows. This film shows her lack of research. Whatever research she has done, I don't see it here. It doesn't translate whatever she is trying to do. Here are some of the charities and or groups that you can support, as Autism Speaks only supports one thing: erasure and eugenics, and side with specific doctors and carers who cause more harm. Here are the groups/charities that I recommend. Well, overall, I think Sia's film is like a cake. On the outside, it looks pretty, tasty, wow, but in the inside, it's pretty hollow, bland, there's no salt, no substance. It's pretty, not nice. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find this informative. I watched this film so you don't have to. I wouldn't support the film personally. If you want to see it out of curiosity, that's your choice. There are better films about autistic people out there. If you want to see more of my content, it is provided on autish.carrd.co, C-A-R-R-D. This provides this YouTube channel, of course, my blog, and my podcast, and also other respective social media. Let me know if you know more good autistic representation in media. That would be great. I'm looking forward to see it in the comments or whatever.